installation is the reverse of removal, so we're actually going to put the bolts on first. Make sure you have all the bolts and their positions memorized. This one goes here. The largest one goes in the front. The medium one goes in the back. I mean the closer to the middle of the car. And the smallest one goes towards the back of the car. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to angle it onto the inside. All right, let's angle it now. Oh, let me take out this crown nut. Oh, and take out the cover for the ball joint, because you might need to finagle it into there when you're angling it. All right, so in order to make this easier, you're going to notice that this collides with the knuckle, so we can move this aside while we put it in, but the first priority is to get this in, so we're going to move the knuckle aside, and then we're going to try to angle this in. Oh, that's a tight fit. So I ended up pushing it in as soon as exactly as we cut it. And what's funny is that we're gonna need to push this up, and in order to push this up, we're gonna need to angle this up, which means that I need to angle the knuckle so that this can go up. Okay. All right, so to help you with putting this in, there's going to be a lot of wiggling and finagling, but the way that we did it first was we positioned this the ball joint into the hole, and then we put the crown on it. After that, we positioned the bushing right here, this one right here, into place, and we had to knock it a bit with a hammer and a pry bar in order to get it in place. And the best way to do this is you want to go from this angle, and you want to see where the hole aligns, and then you want to put in the bolt when it does align. After that, you want to put the middlemost bolt inside. You want to turn it in a few. Then you want to take the outwardmost bolt, or the left side bolt, and then you want to put it in. And then you want to screw this in with the a power tool or whatever you have. And that's the reason why this is long. Okay, this is that one. Okay, and then you can screw this bolt in and screw that bolt in. So let me get that last bolt. And now, after that, uh-oh, wait, did I not screw this? What? I thought I screwed this in a few threads. I might have knocked it out a bit. Okay. That's not supposed to be that jiggly, but I'm like 90% sure I screwed this in. Okay, so when one of the bolts won't fit, the best thing to do is to loosen the other bolts a bit and then try to screw it in. And as you can see, it screws in pretty tightly. And this one in particular doesn't screw in that well because it's rusted a lot, which means that sometimes you'll need to put WD-40 or PB Blaster on them in order to make sure that they go in. After this, you want to tighten this bolt, and since this one is like a pain in the butt, I'm going to do it off camera, but we're going to be using the box wrench to tighten this because this is a nightmare. After you tighten this, and this, then you can tighten the crown nut, and after you tighten the crown nut, you want to put the tie back in. Okay, so that's a lot. Let's do it. All right, so now we have all of the bolts tightened. This one might need to be tightened a bit more, actually, like way more. But now we're going to torque them after we have them tightened. I believe that the foot-pounds is 55 foot-pounds for this bolt and the bolts in the back, or 85. All right, so this bolt in the front is going to be torqued to 55 foot-pounds. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't hear the noise. Okay, there we go. So now we have it torqued to 55 foot-pounds. is that harder than it normally is? Okay, so now we have to do the ones in the back. Those are torqued to 85 foot-pounds, and the crown nut at the top. So now, this might be the most inefficient way to do it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm thinking it's smarter. I think it's smarter to do it from the outside before I do it from. What? What? Okay, this one was easy. I don't know why it was so easy, because that one's the one that was hard to get in. Okay, what? Okay, why is 85 foot-pounds easier than 55? What's going on here? Okay, why was the 55 harder than the 85? Aren't you supposed to put more force for 85 foot-pounds? Oh, by the way, if you want to check out our video on this torque wrench, because it's very cool, we'll probably link it down in the description down below. It's a very cool electrical torque wrench, and I would definitely recommend getting it if you work on cars a lot. Okay, so the last step to do is to put to tighten the crown nut. Now the crown nut, don't really need to torque it, and the reason why is because you're gonna put this tie on, and as you can see, these ties have different shapes on them. So what you're going to need to do is when you put this in, you're going to need to angle one of the arms so that they're bent outwards and then bent back inwards, because on the crown nut, you're going to need to make sure it's in this orientation. Like that. So I can't show that on video right now because it's really dark, but that's the idea. You want to insert it and then try to bend it so that it goes into the hole right next to it. All right, I'll see you back then. All right, so that was removing and installing the lower control arm for a Honda Insight 2010 hybrid. I took a lot of things away from installing this. This should have been a fairly simple job. There's only 4 bolts and then 1 ball joint. But I learned a lot of things. One of the things is that when you're dealing with a joint like this, it's always better to take out the joint first and then take out the bolts securing it. Another thing is that when you're trying to, it's just better to go with the way that's recommended. It's just easier to take off this cover. You might as well just take off the cover in order to access that bolt, because if you don't have a ratchet wrench, taking out that bolt is not fun. In our case, the 19 socket ratchet wrench, not the socket, the ratchet wrench, was the only ratchet wrench we didn't have. We had an 18, we had a 17, we had a 20, but we didn't have a 19. It's like the universe somehow knew that we didn't have a 19 ratchet wrench. Another thing is always watch the videos before you work on cars. In most cases, I mean, sometimes you won't have the videos to work on a car, and that's why learning experiences like this are important. It's important to learn how a car functions and how maintenance or replacing parts, what the general theme behind that is, so that when you have to go without directions, at least you have some sort of sense of what to do. And that's what removing and replacing this gave me. It gave me that sort of intuition on how to remove parts and reinstall them. There's one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, I know a lot of people might not like me talking a lot in these videos, but I find that compared to usual car repair videos, sometimes you see videos where the person isn't talking at all. And in addition to that, you don't see the person making mistakes or having to go through the trouble that they have to go through when maintaining a car. Especially with a lot of you guys. I don't mean to say you people. I mean a lot of my viewers. A lot of you have cars that aren't new, which means that you're always going to encounter problems when you're trying to replace parts. And I always want to make sure that my depiction of removing and replacing a part is accurate. And whenever I have trouble removing a part, I can help you guys or give you suggestions on how to remove it. Alright, so we're recording this after the fact, but the suspension parts that we use came from MOOG. And MOOG is a very good brand for these auto replacement parts. They say online that it's it might be even as good as the original. Very top quality, very expensive too. I think this cost around $100, which you know, compared to the original, the dealer, which is about $200, it's cheap, but it's still somewhat expensive compared to the other parts. But I definitely recommend MOOG if you're gonna get a replacement for your suspension, because your suspension is very important. But that's the one that we use. That's all for now. I'm Aiman, and today I showed you how to remove and replace the lower control arm for a 2010 Honda Insight Hybrid. And hopefully, my brother Asfa is going to enjoy his car back. We actually got this car in January, like the first week or so. He wanted us to fix it. It's March now. It's been 2 months without a car. So hopefully he hasn't gotten rusty on the driving, but we'll check back in with him later. But for now, I'm Aiman, and signing out. I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and look at other videos on EyeOnAiman, especially the videos on car repair and the Honda Insight. We have tons on the Honda Insight, the Honda Accord, and the Honda Civic. We love Honda. So check out those videos, and I'll see you there. But for now, it's nighttime, so signing out. Peace. I'm gonna be in the background because I gotta clean up.